You know that there was a notice by the president giving to us that the remains of the departed souls had been flown to South Africa to conduct some forensics, and there's been questions, there's been criticisms, there's been a lot of wonders why Ghana is doing that if we do not have the capacity to do so within the country. So let's speak with Pet Paul Wepeba. Pet Paul Wepeba is actually the president of the Ghana Academy of Forensic Service, and he has actually been speaking. However, I want to have a tete-a-tete with him here on Metro TV for first-hand information. So, Mr. Wepeba, thank you for your time, and you're welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon to our listeners.
Right. If you can, without due respect, position yourself or reposition yourself. I think your line is not too clear. We'll see if we can fix it properly.
Yes, is it better now?
Okay, no, it's still not too good. It's still not too good. Let me try once again to see if I can hear you clearly. Okay, hello, sir. Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Let me position.
Hello, Mr. Wepeba.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Okay. So we are actually joining the conversation that has arisen around Ghana's move of taking remains of the falling gallant men to South Africa for the forensics, and people have called on you why you are not doing that. First of all, tell us why you were not the first to be chosen for this exercise.
Good afternoon once again, and thank you for this question. Apparently, we are an association. The Ghana Academy of Forensic Sciences is a group of forensic scientists based in Ghana and in the diaspora. For that matter, putting our heads together to see how we can advance the course of forensic science in Ghana. So we actually are not a lab that conducts, these type of tests, but we have the expertise. The people within are all forensic scientists with, the qualification or the expertise to be able to do some of these tests. Now, the question about why these samples were not apparently, analyzed in Ghana, but were all taken to South Africa for further testing. It is basically just due to the fact that we do not have the local capacity that is needed to be able to do this testing within the very shortest time or within the time space that the government actually wants the results, because over the years there hasn't been any sort of capacity building within the forensic science industry in Ghana. So the crime lab, which is the police forensic lab, has some equipment, but science is dynamic. It keeps changing. They may be able to do it, but that would take a long time because the type of equipment that they have wouldn't be the contemporary type of equipment that the South Africans will have that can help do this within the shortest possible time. Again, it could also happen that in the past, maybe the government has some working relationship with some forensic labs in South Africa. They may have sent samples in the past to them and haven't contacted them this time round, thinking they'll be able to help them, get good results within the shortest possible time to be able to help you to bury the individuals in question. So that is basically the reason why the samples were sent. It is because we don't have the local capacity, not human resource, but the structural capacity, because we are all forensic scientists of international repute. We work with some of these South Africans, Americans, Europeans, and all that you can talk of. So basically, it is a question of capacity building and not, the human resource that is needed to deliver this.
So we're talking about, say, for example, forensics on human body, right? That's what you lack the capacity for.
It is now people are talking about DNA testing. Now, ordinary DNA testing is different from forensic DNA testing. Ordinary DNA testing, that is for relationship testing or kinship testing. Maybe you want to know your paternity, you want to know your maternity. Samples can be taken from an individual and compared to the parents, either the father or the mother, to determine, paternity or maternity. That is straightforward. It's very simple to be done. Most labs in Ghana can do this. But when it comes to forensic DNA testing, that is a bit different because you realize that the bodies that they took from the crime scene are child bodies. They are co-mingled, they are mixed up. So the samples that are going to be taken will generate DNA profiles that are mixed, and you need some level of, advanced analysis to be able to decipher whose sample is this, whose profile is this, and not like the normal one. So it is just the equipment that are needed to do this that we don't have in Ghana, and not the human resource, because we have Ghanaian forensic scientists, who are capable of delivering, this, but for the lack of, the equipment that are needed to have this done.
So just so we're clear, it's in this case we're talking about forensic DNA testing, and then we're not talking about human resource, but we're talking about equipment availability.
Exactly, because we don't have the equipment, the contemporary forensic equipment that are needed. Certified ISO certified labs, with this equipment to be able to carry out the testing within the shortest possible time. Of course, the police crime lab, if given the the logistics that are needed to do this, will be able to do it. But because of the fact that the equipment they have are not contemporary equipment, it will take a bit of a time for them to be able to do that. And I think it is due to the race against time. That is why they took it there. So it's not for the lack of, human resource. And that is why we are driving home the fact that we need to build capacity in Ghana, need to, government needs to look into this direction to be able to help design a forensic policy, a strategy, a document that is needed to be able to fine-tune all of this, that going forward, if such incidents should happen, we should be able to handle them in Ghana and not take our samples out. Because it is not only human identification, even the fire outbreaks that we have in Ghana and all of that, you cannot do fire investigation properly without bringing in forensics. You need to be able to do chemical analysis to be able to determine the components that were used, to set fire up and all of that. And we cannot do that, So it is just a question of us putting our heads together as a people, as a nation, and setting our priorities right, and building world-class forensic labs that can serve the people and the sub-region. Because we're sending samples to South Africa. If we develop our forensic space very well within the sub-region, others are going to bring their samples to us for us to be able to help analyze, and to put Ghana on the map of the forensic map. So we really have to have this done, and that is why we are championing the development of a national forensic policy to advance this course.
Okay, you earlier on said we haven't had capacity building for many years. For how long have we not have this capacity building for? And when last did we, as the Ghana Academy for Forensic Service, ever perform such a forensic exercise or service, provided a service or testing?
Right, like I alluded to earlier, we are not a service providing agency. We are an association, so it is the Ghana Academy of Forensic Sciences. We can only inform policy and help direct, policy in the right direction. So we have in the past, in 2019, we came up with an academic paper, detailing what we think could be done to be able to help develop the space.
Okay, hold on there. So you don't provide a service, but you provide policy formulation, right? You guide policy.
Yeah, we are like an association like GJ.
Yes.
All right. So yes. GJ doesn't train journalists, but what they do is to make sure the standards, are adhered to, and the right thing is done within the journalistic, space. So that is what the Ghana Academy of Forensic Sciences, we do. So we don't provide service. We just make sure the right thing is done, try to help formulate policy that will meet international standards that can help the nation going forward in tackling some of these challenges.
So that means that we do not have a reason to even question you why you have not taken up this exercise, right? First of all, I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
We don't even have a reason to. And we don't have. Does that mean that you have not been able to provide policy advice or formulation for the longest of time since your existence? Or you have and we've not heeded to it?
Yes. Like I said, we came up with that document in 2019. And as I speak to you, we have a conference coming up on the 6th of September in Lagos. And we have planned this way ahead of time before. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, we had planned this conference way ahead before this incident did happen. And the theme is to actually meet with stakeholders and brainstorm and see how we can have a national forensic strategy for Ghana. So that is in the offing. In the next few weeks, we're going to have that done, and we can table that before the powers that be to see how they can, help implement this for the betterment of all of us. Because Ghana currently is not having a national DNA database. We have different types of DNA databases. For us to have one, we need to have a policy in place before that is done, because biological material can actually reveal a lot about an individual, and you don't want it to get into the wrong hands. So you'd want to, have a policy that can determine how the material can be used and so on and so forth.
So when you're able to, present this document, which institutions will you be looking forward to they adopting and probably implementing as they will be providing the service of testing?
It's a national policy that would inform, the practice of forensics in Ghana. Elsewhere, we have what we call the forensic science regulator. So the forensic science regulator will make sure that standards are adhered to, just like I mentioned, GJA. You cannot do things that are not in conformity with the guidelines of GJA or the statutes. So that is how it is. We're trying to do same. So that will help, forensic practice in Ghana be streamlined, in line with international best practices. So it is a document that will be given to government and then can be passed on to Parliament for a law to be enacted, and that law will determine how forensic samples are handled, how crime scene is managed, and so on and so forth. Because as we speak now, we are all at fault, including the media. When there's a crime, the crime scene, the media will troop there because they want to get the first hand information and let it out, and people will know they were there. The public would also want to get there, take footages and share and all of that. And by doing so, they contaminate the crime scene even before investigators, get to the scene. They also risk, implicating themselves because they leave, evidence at the scene before investigators would come to the site and all of that. So it is a comprehensive document that will deal with crime scene management. It will deal with how to handle human remains. It will deal with how to analyze forensic, samples. Also deal with people, labs within the space. They have to adhere to international best practices before they can actually practice. Because if your labs or your results are not in line or they are not in sync with international standards, you cannot share your data with your neighbors. You cannot share your data with the international community. So it presupposes that if a crime is committed here and the criminal crosses the border, you cannot share your data with your neighbor or the international because your standards are not, up to the international standards. So that is what we actually driving at to try.
That puts a lot of pressure on you. That puts a lot of pressure on you, not so, to be able to provide us a policy document that will meet international standard.
Yeah, it does, but that is what we do. We are, forensic science is application of science to law. So it is not just one area. We have, forensic geneticists, we have toxicologists, we have cybersecurity officials. It's a myriad of areas that are put together.
Yeah.
So we're all going to sit together and come up with this document that would feature sections of the aspect of forensics that can benefit all of us, as a nation going forward, so that we don't have to send samples, whether it is human remains, whether it is fire debris that needs to be analyzed, whether it is trace evidence, fiber, hair, whether it is voice analysis and all of that. All these things can actually be done in Ghana because we have the human resource, we have the people that can do it, but for the equipment and the infrastructure.
Kindly engage me a bit further. So I see that we have the Forensic Science Laboratory at the Ghana Police Service. We have the Digital Forensic Laboratory at Wisconsin University, academic of departments like the Department of Forensic Sciences at the University of Ghana. Will you advise that we, institute a national forensics department that would these are institutions or departments within institutions, but we probably may or should have a national one that takes care of issues of this nature?
Well, you're right. I think it's time that after developing this policy, we may have what we call a National Forensic Agency or a National Forensic Authority. And this institution would have the capacity to be able to do all of these analysis as well as regulate the practice of, forensics within our space. Because without the standards meeting international, criteria, we are just going to do, some kind of work that will not yield any fruitful results. So we need to make sure all of these people will come together and develop the policy document. And if government would buy into the idea of setting up a National Forensic Agency or a National Forensic Authority that would oversee all of these, that would be fine because it would create jobs. It would also be able to help deal with crime in the country because, most of the criminals are what we call reoffenders, residual offenders. So because of that fact, if you do have a national DNA database or a biometric database comprising fingerprints, facial features and all of that, it will go a long way to help be able to solve some of these cases. So if we have just a body, an institution, one having all of this under it would be very good. I reckon the current government had in their manifesto that they were going to build 2 new forensic labs. All right, but it is not just a matter of building the labs and not tooling them up to international standards. We would do that and stop sending samples out of the country for analysis, which wouldn't help. So instead of having separate forensic science labs built, if we are able to have, an agency or an authority for that matter to oversee to this with the regulator helping fine-tune or navigate this course, I think it will be a better deal for the country.
Are you able to put a cost to this?
Well, the cost that you can put would depend on the type of lab that you want to build. We have basic forensic labs, we have, medium, we have the very advanced, and it is not just about putting up the structure, the edifice, but it is the cost of the equipment and the maintenance and all of that brings the cost. So that would be difficult because you need to contact the supplier. Sometimes there are suppliers that would give you, some equipment for you to use and be buying reagents from them. Others will sell it outright to you and all of that. So that depends on the arrangement you're going to have. But that said, it is very difficult for you to put a cost to the lab that will be developed. But I can say it's quite capital intensive to have this done. So government would have to, agree to do this. Otherwise, it will be difficult for it to be done. And that is why over the years, we haven't had a lot of forensic labs in the country. We only have the police crime lab and no private forensic lab exists in the country. And in fact, within the sub-region. So it isn't a peculiar problem to Ghana. within the sub-region, most of these countries are not having. They have had to send their samples to South Africa, to Europe for analysis, which is not the best for us as a sub-region.
I see. Finally, before I let you go, you may want to share a bit of some knowledge with us, with your expertise, how we managed this situation right from when it happened to date. We here at Metro TV had a video of one of the eyewitnesses who was, flaunting some sort of watch, in front of a camera, telling us that he even picked the watch, at the scene. From the day it happened till now, we're questioning why the scene was not cordoned off, and everybody was allowed to go in there and just, either see things for themselves or touch things and all that. What will you, say to the experience for these past few days?
Yeah, so it's not been the best of situations that we've had in the past few days. It's very bad for families or relations to see, first-hand the child bodies of their relations on social media or on TV, and we're all to be blamed. The media these days would even chase the grieving families and be asking them, how do you feel about your loss and all of that, putting them through a lot of trauma. And all of these things are due to the fact that we don't have a policy, we don't have a document that stipulates that if we have a situation of this nature, this is how it should be handled. The place should be cordoned off. We have, 3 different perimeters. The first perimeter, or the perimeter within, will be for the crime scene investigators. The second one will be the area where the management team and the liaison officer would be. The final or the outer perimeter will be for the media and the families. And the media cannot get in there to take images, or other people get in there and take images. So with the way this thing happens, because it is far away in the hinterland, it's very difficult for the authorities to have prevented people from doing it. Before they got there, all of these things were done and people started sharing it on social media. So going forward, if we have this policy document and a campaign, is launched, and everybody knows that it is a crime for me to do this, or better still, ethically, it is not fine for me to take some of these footage and show online and all of that. People wouldn't do it, and also be able to understand how a crime scene should be managed. Because for all you get in there to do all of these. Is what if a second explosion goes off? Your life will be at risk. So you have to leave it for the people that are mandated to do it to actually come, rescue the situation. Again, people take all manner of evidence from the crime scene, pieces of the wreckage back home, to serve as memorabilia, to show to their children, their great-grandchildren that, when this thing happened, I was there, and all of that. It could happen that the piece that you're taking home is the answer to what actually happened before the incident, actually took place. So it is just a matter of us having this document and educating all of us for us to know what we need to do at what point in time and what not to do. Elsewhere, we have, forensic journalists, so they understand these things. When they get to the scene, they know the kind of questions to ask, they know where to go and where not to go and all of that. But for us here, it is difficult for one to be able to enforce all of these things, primarily because of the fact that there's no document, so nobody knows what to do and what not to do. But if we do have, we all know the role that we are supposed to play to make sure the dead, get that respect that is needed. That is fine. But in the absence of that, I'm afraid with the next incident that is going to happen, you still have people taking pictures and showing them off. It isn't the first time. The circle incident, if you remember, people took footages and showed them. They appear the same, and it's something that people will not stop doing until we have a framework that would, let people know this is the path that we have to chart to be able to give respect to the dead, to be able to prevent, the contamination of crime scenes and all of that.
But Paul, you can be sure that I'm one of the journalists who probably would love to have a training in forensics. If you offer, do you offer that service in your association?
We do what we call CPDs. So we do CPDs occasionally, and oftentimes it is just free. We do it online for people to come, and those who need certificates, we give them the certificates after they have, acquired the knowledge.
How long does it last for persons who are interested?
It depends on the model, the type of information we want to get out there. So, for example, if it's about fire investigation, we want to take you through what to do and what not to do when there's a fire outbreak. How to be able to investigate and report it properly as a journalist. And we're not doing it specifically for journalists, but we do it for all manner of professions, people who are interested in forensics and are not forensic scientists, to be able to learn the basics and to understand how to apply it, in their daily lives and so on and so forth. So it's something that occasionally comes up. So if you visit our website, gov.gh, we do have some of these things occasionally, and as and when they come up, you'll be able to see them. But I would want to use this opportunity to invite you to our conference on the 6th of September in Legon, for us all to sit together. We're going to have a panel discussion, and some of these things will come up. I reckon a lot of people do not understand some things. Initially, you even thought we were a service provider, but when you come, we sit together, we can all fine tune, put our brains together, and have a document that can help us as a nation.
Right. President of the Ghana Academy of Forensic Services, Peter Paul, or Pet Paul, we're grateful for your time this afternoon. Thank you.